Shalom, shalom, Zion. Shalom to my family. Shalom to my mishpaka. Worldwide on this Yom. Shalom to you wherever you may be on this first day of the week. Wherever on the Eretz you may be, I bid you shalom, shalom on this day to all 12 tribes, to the whole house of YashaYahu, both to Yehuda and to Ephraim, and to the stranger who would sojourn with us. Shalom, shalom to you on this Yom. Mishpaka, I just want to speak with you for just a few moments on this Yom. There was no shortage of lies being spewed from pulpits on this Yom. No shortage of lies. No shortage of myths, misconceptions, and misunderstandings being spewed from pulpits worldwide on this Yom. There was no shortage of it. So I want to come here for just a few moments and speak a little truth. Speak a little truth in the midst of the lies. There's been enough lies spewed today. So I just wanted to stop by to give a little truth. To give a little truth in the midst of the lies. And Yahuwah showed me something in Shamuth, or Exodus. Some call it Shamaut, or Shamuth, or Shemoth, depending on the paleo and the modern, whichever your preference. But Shamuth, the 8th chapter, the 20th through the 27th verse, commonly called Exodus, Yahuwah showed me something. I want to share that with you. Again, it's been enough lies spewed on this, Yom. Your fellow servant, your humble servant, I just wanted to stop by for a little bit and give you some truth in the midst of the lies. So, beginning at verse 20 in Shamuth, the 8th chapter, it reads, "And Yahuwah said to Moshe, or Moshe, depending on which translation you're using, or whether you're using the paleo or modern, so it varies. But for the sake of this video, we'll say Moshe. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water, and say to him, thus said Yahuwah, hear me, hear me, hear me. I'm just a dirt vessel. I am just a servant. I am just a man. I am just a servant, and I am reading the word of Yahuwah. So this is thus said Yahuwah. Excuse me. False alarm. So this is thus said Yahuwah. Let my people go, so that they serve me, or else, if you do not let my people go, see, I am sending swarms of flies on you and your servants and your people, and on your people, and into your houses. Now, he's giving a warning here to Pharaoh and to the inhabitants of Mitzrayim, or to Masrayam, or to Mitzrayim. And so if any of you who have not left Mitzrayim are listening to this video on this Yom, are listening to Yah's servant, and I say to you, many of you are still, I don't know. I pray that someone who is in Mitzrayim who is listening to this video and is hearing this warning, because many fled to Circes on this Yom, fled to these pagan temples in the midst of Mitzrayim to hear many myths and many fables and many misconceptions and many misunderstandings on this Yom. And indeed, you are in Mitzrayim. But if you are listening to this video on this Yom, if you are in the presence right now, under the sound of my voice, hearing Yah's servant on this Yom, then this warning is for you. These words are for you, because you are indeed in Mitzrayim. It is indeed a warning even for Seđom. For those of you who have not completely left Mitzrayim, who have 1 foot in Mitzrayim and 1 foot in Goshen, Gashan, this message is indeed for you as well. So hear the words of Yahuwah, not my words, but hear the words of Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah, let my people go, so that they serve me. Or else, if you do not let my people go, see, I am sending swarms of flies on you and on you and your servants, and on your people, and into your houses. And the houses of the Mitzri, shall be filled with swarms of flies, and also the ground on which they stand. And in that day I shall separate, hear me, hear me, hear me, hear the word of Yahuwah. And in that day I shall separate the land of Gashan, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, so that you know that I am Yahuwah in the midst of the land. Hear me, and I shall put a distinction between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall be. Hear me, hear me. Soon there is going to be a distinction made, where Yahuwah is going to make a clear distinction between whose are his and who are not. Hear me. Soon plagues are going to come upon the whole land of Mitzrayim. And if you are still in Mitzrayim, these plagues are going to come upon you. These plagues are meant for Mitzrayim. They are not meant for the people of YashaYahu. But if you are in the midst of Mitzrayim, then a distinction is going to be made. A clear distinction is going to be made between Yah's people and the people of Mitzrayim, as it is read here. And I shall put a distinction between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall be. There is nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun. In accordance with Dabarim, the 28th chapter, the 68th verse, the whole house of YashaYahu is back in bondage. We are back in Mitzrayim. But just because we are in Mitzrayim, we do not have to be of Mitzrayim. Because if you are still of Mitzrayim, when these plagues come upon Mitzrayim, then these plagues are going to come upon you as well. And in that day and in that time, Yahuwah, ALUAH of Hashemayim and Haaretz is going to make a clear distinction between his people and those who are in Mitzrayim. Verse 24 reads, and Yahuwah did so. And thick swarms of flies came into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Mitzrayim, Matzrayim, and the land was ruined because of the swarms of flies. Pharaoh then called for Musha and Aharaun and said, go, slaughter to your Elohim, to your ALUAH, and to your Allah in the land. And Musha said, hear me, hear me, hear me. It is not right to do so, for we would be slaughtering the abomination of the Matzrai to Yahuwah, our ALUAH. For it is not right to do so, for we would be slaughtering the abomination of the Matzrai to Yahuwah, our ALUAH, our Allah. See, If we slaughter the abomination of the Masrai before their eyes, would they not stone us? Let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness. Then we shall slaughter to Yahuwah our ALUAH, as he commanded us. Hear me, hear me, hear me. If you are still in Mitzrayim, your offering is an abomination to Yahuwah. It is an abomination to Yahuwah. You must come outside the camp. You must come outside of Mitzrayim. You must journey. You must take 3 days' journey to come outside of Mitzrayim before Yahuwah will receive your offering. Otherwise, he does not hear you. Otherwise, your offering and everything that you are doing is an abomination to Yahuwah. As he who turns his ear from the TURAH, from hearing the TURAH, even his prayer is an abomination to Yahuwah. As long as you are in Mitzrayim, your offering is an abomination. Your offering is an abomination to Yahuwah. You must come outside of Mitzrayim before he will receive your offering. You must come outside of the filth. You must come outside of the perverseness. You must come outside of the myths and the lies and the fables. You must come out of the degradation of Mitzrayim and journey into the wilderness before he will receive your offering. He will not receive your offering in the house of Tammuz. He will not receive your offering while you are bowing down to the abominable thing. He will not receive your offering while you are bowing down to the image of jealousy. He will not bow down to he will not receive your offering as long as you are worshiping all the mighty ones of Mitzrayim. You must come outside of Mitzrayim before he will receive your offering. Before he will receive your offering. As it is written in Bamidbar, or Numbers, the 19th chapter, verses 1 through 13. And Yahuwah spoke to Musha and to Aharon, saying, this is the law of the TURAH which Yahuwah has commanded, saying, speak to the children of Yashayahu, that they bring you a red heifer, a perfect one, and which there is no blemish, and on which a yoke has never come. And you shall give it to Al-Azad the Kohen, and he shall bring it outside the camp, and shall slay it before him. And Al-Azad the Kohen shall take some of its blood with his finger, and sprinkle some of its blood 7 times toward the front of the tent of appointment. And the heifer shall be burned before his eyes. He burns its hide and its flesh and its blood and its dung. And the Kohen shall take cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet and throw them into the midst of the fire, burning the heifer. The Kohen shall then wash his garments and shall bathe his body in water, and afterward come into the camp. But the Kohen is unclean until evening, and he who is burning it washes his garments in water, and shall bathe his body in water, and is unclean until evening. And a clean man shall gather up the ashes of the heifer, and shall place them outside the camp, outside the camp, outside the camp, in a clean place. And they shall be kept for the congregation of the children of YashaYahu, for the water of uncleanness. It is for cleansing from sin. It is for cleansing from sin. And he who gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his garments, and is unclean until evening. and it shall be a law forever, and it shall be a law forever, and it shall be a law olam u'alam, eternally, forever, to the children of YashaYahu, and to the stranger who sojourns in their midst. He who touches the dead of any human being is unclean for 7 days. He is to cleanse himself with the water on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he is clean. But if he does not cleanse himself on the 3rd day, then on the 7th yom he is not clean. Anyone who touches the dead of a human being and does not cleanse himself defiles the dwelling place of YAHUAH, and that being shall be cut off from YashaYahu. He is unclean, and that being shall be cut off from YashaYahu. He is unclean, for the water of uncleanness was not sprinkled on him. His uncleanness is still upon him. His uncleanness is still upon him. Now, in the beginning of this reading, it was read that a red heifer without spot or blemish was chosen, and this red heifer was taken outside of the camp and slaughtered. This is significant because YAHUAH had previously made the declaration that all of the offerings, that all of the slaughterings were to be done at the place where he had placed his name, where he had declared his name to be. In the wilderness, it was at the door of the hekel. It was at the door of the tent. When Yerushalayim was established, it was still at the door of the hekel. The place where he had placed his name is Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim. This is the place where he had placed his name. Yahuwah Shalom. Yahuwah is Shalom. Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim. This is the place where he had placed his name. And so it is significant that the red heifer, that after YAHUAH had made the declaration, the proclamation, the statute, the law, the instruction, the TURAH, that no offerings were to be made outside of the place where he had placed his name, it is significant to mention that the red heifer was taken outside of the camp, away from the place where he had placed his name. And if anyone became unclean by touching a dead thing, by touching a dead human body, then he was to come outside of the camp, because he was not to contaminate the camp with his uncleanness. He was to come outside of the camp to be cleansed. He was to come outside of the camp where the red heifer had been slain, to have the water sprinkled on him on the 3rd and the 7th day, and then to be declared clean by the Kohen Gadol. This is significant because that was one other offering that was done outside of the camp, and that was the offering of the Hamashiach. That was the offering of the Hamashiach. As it is written in Abrim, Hebrews, the 13th chapter, the 10th through the 13th verse, we have a slaughter place from which those serving the tent have no authority to eat, for the bodies of those beasts whose blood is brought into the set-apart place by the Kohen Gadol for sin are burned outside the camp. And so Yahusha also suffered outside the gate to set apart the people with his own blood. Let us then go to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. I submit to you on this yom that you have been contaminated by the dead things of Mitzrayim, that you have been contaminated from touching dead things, and now you must come outside of Mitzrayim. You must come outside of the camp to the Hamashiach, to be cleansed from touching the dead things of Babylon, to be cleansed from your leprosy, to be cleansed from your menstrual cycle, to be cleansed from your running sores, to be cleansed from touching the dead things of Babylon. You must come outside of Mitzrayim, Otherwise, your offering is an abomination to him. Your offering is an abomination to him. You must journey 3 days in the wilderness. All of your offerings, all of your abominable, filthy offerings that you are giving him in Mitzrayim is an abomination to him. You must come outside of Mitzrayim before he will receive your offering. Before ye will receive your offering, as it is written in Corinthian Bait, 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, the 14th through the 18th verse. Do not become unevenly yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership has righteousness and lawlessness? And what fellowship has light with darkness? And what agreement has Mashiach with Belial? And what part does a believer have with an unbeliever? And what union has the dwelling place of ALUAH with idols? For you are a dwelling place of the living ALUAH, as ALUAH has said, I shall dwell in them and walk among them, and I shall be their ALUAH, and they shall be my people. Therefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, says Yahuwah, and do not touch what is unclean, and do not touch what is unclean. Do not touch the unclean or abominable things of Mitzrayim, of Babylon, and do not touch that which is unclean. Quit worshiping Tammuz. Quit bowing down to his symbol, the symbol of the crux, the symbol of the cross. Come out of the house of Tammuz. Come out of her, my people, and quit touching what is unclean. Quit eating the abominable thing. Quit eating swine's flesh and shrimp and crab and lobster. Quit eating that which is unclean, thinking that your abominable prayers somehow makes that which has been declared unclean from the very beginning, that somehow your wicked, perverse, abominable prayers all of a sudden declare something clean just because you think your wicked, abominable prayer is heard. He does not hear you, because again, it is written that he who turns his ear from hearing the TURAH, even his prayer is an abomination. He does not hear your wickedness. You must come outside of the camp to be cleansed. You must come outside of Mitzrayim to be cleansed. Otherwise, your offering, every single offering that you offer, is an abomination to him. It is written, come out from among them and be separate, says Yahuwah, and do not touch what is unclean, and I shall receive you, and I shall be a father to you, and you shall be sons and daughters to me, says Yahuwah. Shaddai. It is written in Hazon, a Revelation, the 18th chapter, verses 1 through 4. After this I saw another messenger coming down from Shamayim, having great authority, and the Aretz and the earth was lightened from his esteem. And he cried with a mighty voice, saying, Babel the great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a haunt for every unclean ruach spirit, and a haunt for every unclean and hated bird, because all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her whoring, and the sovereigns of the Aretz have committed whoring with her, and the merchants of the Aretz have become rich through the power of her riotous living. And I heard another voice from the Shamayim saying, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. The plagues that are coming upon Mitzrayim, if you do not come out of her, my people, those plagues are going to afflict you. Those plagues are going to afflict you. Those plagues are not for the land of Goshen. Those plagues are not for YAHUAH'S people. They are for the inhabitants of Mitzrayim. They are for the inhabitants that are taking part in the abominable worship in Mitzrayim, that are worshiping the abominable thing, that are eating the abominable thing, that are taking part in the abominable things. These plagues are meant for Mitzrayim. For Mitzrayim. Come out of her, my people. on this Yom, lest you share in her sins and receive of her plagues. He will not receive of your offering unless you journey 3 days into the wilderness and come out of Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is filthy, it is dirty, it is disgusting. You must come outside of the camp to be clean. You must come outside of the camp to be clean. There is no cleanness for you in Mitzrayim. If you sit in a dirty place, dirt is going to rub off on you. As long as you are in the midst of Mitzrayim, you cannot be cleansed. You must come out of Mitzrayim before the waters of cleanness, of uncleanness, of cleanness can be sprinkled on you. You must come outside of the camp to the Hamashiach before you can be cleansed. Before you can be cleansed. Come out from among them on this Yom. Come out to be cleansed from dead things. Come out to be cleansed from your menstrual cycle. Come out to be cleansed from your leprosy. Come out to be cleansed from your running sores. To be cleansed from touching all of those dead things of Mitzrayim and Babylon. Hence, when our people were to be cleansed in the Mikvah Taberah, they went outside of the camp to undergo the Mikvah Taberah, what is falsely called the pagan baptismal. They went outside of the camp, outside of Mitzrayim, to be cleansed, to undergo the Mikvah Taberah. Do it on this Yom. Undergo the Mikvah Taberah, not some pagan baptismal, but undergo the true Mikvah Taberah in the set apart name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Go into the water, dip. Do not go backwards. The tabal means to dip. We do not go backwards in some initiation into Mithraism. We dip where no hands touch you. Where no hands touch you. Dip up and down. If you want to dip 7 times, dip 7 times, because some of you got leprosy on you. Some of you are like Naaman or like Naaman, and you need to dip 7 times because you got leprosy on you, and you need to dip 7 times to be cleansed. And dip in the name, the set apart name of Yahushua, where no hands touch you, and die and be buried and be resurrected to the newness of life, whereby having the penalty of sin paid in you through our Hamashiach, and then walk in the newness of life. Walk in the newness of life. Walk in the living TURAH. Walk in the light of TURAH, and neither turn to the right or to the left, but stay in the way everlasting. But come outside of Mitzrayim. Come outside of these filthy Circes. Come outside of all of this filthy satanic religion, and come outside of Mitzrayim. Come outside of the camp. Otherwise, your offering is an abomination to him. It is an abomination. And he does not hear your prayers. He does not hear you. Do not be deceived by the prince of the power of the air, who has the ability to disguise himself as a messenger of light. Do not be deceived by him. He does not hear your filthy, abominable prayers. He cannot receive that which is unclean. Set yourself apart to him in righteousness and in truth. Set yourself apart for him, to him, in righteousness and in truth, and allow him to cleanse you and teach you to make a distinction between the clean and the unclean. Let him teach you to make a distinction for what is abominable to him, to make a distinction between the clean and the unclean, to make a distinction between the clean and the unclean. Come out of her on this Yom. Come out of her, my people, before it is too late. come out of her, my people, before the plagues began. Shalom, shalom, shalom.